and I am so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make banana bread in a mug. I love a good mug recipe, and this one uses just a few ingredients that we already have usually in our kitchen or our pantry, and it cooks just for 3 minutes in our microwave. We're gonna have fun making this together today, and I'm so glad you're here.
All is calm and all is bright tonight.
Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. While I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to gather to cook along today. The ingredients you'll need are 1 ripe banana, 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of milk, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/8 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and cooking spray. The supplies you'll need are a liquid measuring cup, 1 tablespoon, 1/4 teaspoon, and a fork. Okay, great. Your hands are clean and my hands are clean. We've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started making our banana bread in a mug. Like I've said, I love a good mug recipe because you just put everything in one mug, pop it in the microwave, and then you have usually a great sweet treat. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our liquid measuring cup and our cooking spray. So the liquid measuring cup is a great thing to actually cook this whole recipe in because we know it can go in the microwave, it's microwave safe, and it has a handle for when we pull it out and it's not too hot. So I'm actually gonna cook everything right in here. When you're done, you can eat it right out of here. You can put it on a plate, pop it in another mug or a bowl, but this is where everything will cook today. So we're gonna mix everything in our liquid measuring cup. So place that right in front of you, and then we're just gonna give it a quick spray with our cooking spray so that it doesn't stick, and when we go to eat it, it kind of comes out nicely. So I'm just going to quick spray this all around. That's all you needed the cooking spray for. You can put that to the side. And now grab your banana. We need a ripe banana, so you can see it's pretty yellow. If you have a green one, it's gonna be hard to mash. So make sure you have 1 ripe banana. And then you also wanna grab your fork. This is what we are going to use to mash it and what we're actually going to mix everything together with. So I'm going to peel my banana. And usually when I mash it, because there's not a ton of room in my mug, I'm just gonna break it up into like 3 chunks. So I pop the first chunk in there, and all I'm going to do is take the back of my fork and mash this up. Okay, now I'm gonna pop another chunk in there, do the same thing, using the back of my fork and pressing it against the glass. And it's a nice thing it has a handle too, because you can hold it to hold it in place as you're mashing. This is probably the most difficult part of the whole recipe, is getting this banana mashed up. And my last piece, pop that in there and mash. If you've ever had banana bread like that you cook in the oven, this is just a quick little personal size serving that you can make for yourself in just a few minutes in the microwave, no oven needed, and it tastes good. All right, now that they're all mashed, I'm just giving it a stir to break it down a little bit more. Put my banana peel to the side. Now I'm going to add the liquid ingredients or the wet ingredients. So this does have a lot of ingredients for this banana bread mug recipe. However, usually a lot of it is stuff that you might already have in your kitchen, like flour and salt and sugar. So even though there's quite a few ingredients, it cooks really quickly. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab my 1 egg, and we are going to crack this egg into the banana. Now, if you don't feel comfortable cracking it, you can crack it into maybe a smaller bowl or a cup and pour it in. I'm going to take my fork out, set it to the side. And all I'm gonna do to carefully crack it is tap it on the side of my liquid measuring cup until it cracks and carefully pull it apart. If you got a shell in there, you could just grab it quick out with your clean hands. I was lucky there's no shells, so you can put those shells to the side, throw them away. And now I'm just gonna take this same fork and give this a mix. I wanna scramble that egg a little bit, mix it up, and mix it into my banana. All right, I'm gonna keep my fork in here now because we're gonna continue to mix, but now we're going to add our other wet ingredients. So go ahead and grab your milk and your 1 tablespoon. It's the biggest one like this today. It says 1 TBSP, and we need 1 tablespoon of milk. Measure that in. Carefully pour. All right, keep your tablespoon. We're gonna use that quite a few more times, so keep that handy. Put your milk to the side, we're done with that. And now I'm going to grab my olive oil. Now really you just need any type of cooking oil. So if you have vegetable oil at home, canola oil, that works great. This is like a light tasting olive oil that's in my pantry, so I'm just going to use this. You can't taste it, it just helps with the recipe. So we're gonna measure out again with the 1 tablespoon, 1 TBSP, 1 tablespoon of olive oil or cooking oil that you are using. All right, place that in there. Keep your tablespoon to the side. We'll use that again in a minute. Now we're going to add our vanilla extract. So grab your vanilla extract and your 1/4 teaspoon. It's the one that says 1/4 TSP. It's the only other one like this today. It's the smallest one. And we need 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract right in there. Those are the wet ingredients. That's a mouthful. So we are now just going to give this a stir before we add in our dry ingredients. Just mix that all together. Keep your 1/4 teaspoon that we just used next to you. We're gonna use that for the baking powder and the baking soda and the salt. All right, so I've got this all mixed together. Going to just keep my fork in there, and now we're going to add the dry ingredients. So go ahead and grab your flour. All-purpose flour is what I am using, and we need 3 tablespoons of flour. So I'm going to grab the same tablespoon that I used before, 1 TBSP, and we need 3 tablespoons of flour right into our mug. 1, 2, and 3. All right, keep your tablespoon. We're gonna use that again, but you can put your flour to the side. Now we need to grab our brown sugar, and we need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So for brown sugar, you usually want to pack it into whatever you're measuring. So I'm taking my 1 tablespoon again, the biggest one, and we're gonna measure 2 tablespoons. And how I do that is whether you're scooping it out of a bag or a jar or a container, I'm just going to scoop it and then press it up against the side so it packs in there, because we need that brown sugar to be packed to get a full tablespoon measurement. So 1 tablespoon, and we're gonna do it one more time, and 2 tablespoons. So again, I just drag it up to the side, press it all in there. You can also use your fingers to pat it down if you wanted to. Here's my 2nd tablespoon, right inside. Now keep your tablespoon. We're gonna use that next for our sugar. So you can put your brown sugar to the side, grab your regular sugar. This is like a granulated sugar. Maybe you have cane sugar. And we need just 1 tablespoon. So the same one we've been using, the big one, scoop out 1 tablespoon of sugar and drop it right in there. Now, there is a lot of sugar in this recipe because it's what makes it sweet besides the banana. So definitely something that we don't have all the time, but next time you want like a sweet, warm, comforting treat, this is a great recipe to try. All right, now I'm gonna give this a quick stir because next is the baking powder and the baking soda, and I don't want that to get clumped up with my flour. So I'm just going to give this a quick stir, just mixing it a little bit. The liquid measuring cup also helps so you can see what you have mixed up, because if you have a lot of white flour on there, you know it's not really mixed well. So the clear measuring cup, we know it's microwave safe, and it helps with knowing if all of my ingredients are mixed together. I really want to make sure that brown sugar is no longer clumped up. Our batter is going to start to turn a bit more brown, especially if you have dark brown sugar. So we're going to give it a look. See a couple spots of white, so that's why I'm going to stir a little bit more. I don't want to end up with any chunks of flour when we eat this at the end. All right. Leaving my fork in, now I'm just going to add the last 3 ingredients, which are baking soda, baking powder, and salt. So go ahead and grab your baking powder and your 1/4 teaspoon. Now, we are only going to measure half of this because we only need 1/8 of a teaspoon. So half of a 1/4 is 1/8. Most people don't have 1/8 of a teaspoon measurement, or I don't in my kitchen. So I usually use the 1/4 teaspoon. It says 1/4 TSP. and then I'm just going to fill it up halfway to the best of my ability. So I have my baking powder. I'm just filling this up about halfway and sprinkle it on to my mixture. You put your baking powder to the side, and now you need to grab your baking soda. So they are different, they have different purposes, so we need to use both of them. So this is my baking soda. I'm going to grab my 1/4 teaspoon again, and I'm going to fill it up halfway so we can measure 1/8. So this is 1/8 teaspoon of baking soda. You can put your baking soda to the side. And then lastly, we need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Salt usually helps to balance out that sweet, so even though you wouldn't think you would need it, we do need 1/8 a teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to take again the 1/4 teaspoon, fill it up about halfway, and sprinkle it in. Now, you can put your salt to the side. You can put any other measurements to the side. We are done with all of that. All we have to do now is stir this up well and pop it in our microwave. So, using the same fork we've been using, I really want to make sure that baking soda and that baking powder is mixed throughout our mixture. Another great thing about this liquid measuring cup is when we cook it in the microwave for 3 minutes, it's going to start to rise because of that baking soda, baking powder. So we need it to be big enough to have room to lift, which is why the liquid measuring cup, I think, is the perfect container to make this in. All right, I'm going to take a look at the bottom. I don't see any white flour, which is fabulous. Tap off your fork. You can put your fork to the side. And from here, this is just now going to cook for a three full minutes. We're not going to open it up. We don't need to stir it. We're going to pop it in for 3 minutes, and then we will talk about getting it out safely, letting it cool, and giving it a try. So this goes in the microwave for 3 minutes. Here we go. All right, friends, this is exciting. The 3-minute microwave just went off. So now all we have to do is take it out carefully and set it on a protected surface, whether that be your cutting board if you have one, or you put it on a pot holder on your counter to protect it. But we just needed to let it cool for about 2 or 3 minutes. When we take that first bite, it's going to be hot. We don't want to burn our mouths, so I'm just going to take it out and use the handle, which is another reason, again, why we're using a liquid measuring cup. So grab the handle, set it on a protected surface, and let it cool for at least 2 minutes. All right, friends, this has just now cooled for about 2 or 3 minutes. I just want to make sure that the cup is cool to touch. Again, the handle was cooled to take it out of the microwave, so we safely took it out to let it cool. This has cooled for a few minutes, and now it's just time to enjoy it. So from here, you could just grab your fork, eat it right out of the liquid measuring cup, which is what I would do, or you can pop it out. We use that cooking spray, so it'll pop out nicely. But you can see how it rose. All of our flours cooked through, and it smells like banana bread. So this is just a fun mug meal if you're craving banana bread and only have a few minutes, and you just want to make a personal size for yourself. I do hope you give it a try, and when you do, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. You can even send me a picture of how your banana bread in a mug turned out. I'd love to get to see your creation, and maybe we can share it next time. Speaking of next time, I'm excited. The next few episodes, we're actually going to do a few how-to videos. So a couple of simple things in the kitchen that you might need to know how to do, maybe how to make scrambled eggs or how to do a few things on our stovetop. So I'm excited for the next few episodes. They're going to be a how-tos. They're going to be a bit shorter. It's just a nice thing to have on hand when you might need it. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. But today, I hope you enjoyed making our banana bread. I know I had fun, and I already can't wait to cook together next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, like I always say, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. You just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss the next episode. I'll see you then. Bye, friends. Grab a fork. It's time to eat.